Hi, this is Senselian, and we'll be going through some of the basics of text modding in Slice and Dice. Here in the basic view, the first thing we want to do is set up some settings. You should have everything unlocked by now if you've played the game enough times, or you had the padlock symbol here or something. In any case, you want to have the text mod more on, your custom rearrange on. Rest is sort of more preferences. I also like to have screen mode set to full screen too. Just makes it easier to jump between different parts of the computer. If you're on mobile, sucks to be you designing. It's not something I do. I can't really help with that. But Slice and Dice text modding always happens in the, we can go here to modes, creative and custom. Custom is where we work with text modding. You can also paste some things under creative paste. We won't go over that here. Suffice to say, it's essentially being able to play a certain, say, state or game state. But here, creative custom. And what creative custom does is it gives you a classic normal game, exactly as if you had started from classic normal. And we can do that right now here, start, and hey, we are in game. So basically everything you do in TextMod then is just adding things on top of classic normal, changing things about classic normal. You choose your modifiers. This happens using then the text modding language of the game. All of the actual text modding can be found under Ledger, and then the API. Here you have all of the magical mystical code that makes the game or text modding work. It's a little unapproachable though, hence this video. Let's just dive into it. Basically you add things by pressing the plus here and then giving yourself a modifier. Let's say slow spells. We want to make the game a little harder for ourselves. Maximum of 1 ability uses per turn, start, yeah. And now we're in game and we have slow spells and life is a bother. But that's not usually what you're doing text modding for. You want to do sort of alternate experiences to Slice and Dice, and this is where the deeper text modding comes into. The basics is still the same. For example, if we want to have a game where you add an extra barbarian, we go add barbarian. Hooray! And this add a barbarian to the entire run, as attested to here. Then essentially we're all just building on top of this. The game doesn't really parse heroes or items. The only thing you're adding in custom mode is modifiers. There's no such thing as barbarian, but the game will understand that and try and go, do you mean add barbarian or party of just 5 barbarians? The game isn't always that good about it. We write thief and the game goes, hey, do you want to add essence thief? It doesn't understand to go add thief. It's a different modifier. So then it becomes important to essentially know the magic spells that make the text modding happen, that create the modifiers. And that's what we'll be going through here in this video on the online. If I don't have a heart attack doing this. Pun has put together a really great basic hero creation guide. This is in the Discord. It's not super updated to the latest 3.1. There's a lot of stuff, especially at the bottom, about 3.1. But yeah, some of us are more visual learners, learn more by example. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing that today. We're going to be just making a hero, adding it to the text mod. Then you have a very tangible way of understanding how all of this works. So it's good to have an idea what you're going to actually be doing. So we want to make a hero named Maul. That's a tier 1 yellow, has 6 HP and nothing but heavy damage sides. So then how do we do this? Well, what do we start building on? text modding doesn't do new things as such. Text modding modifies former stuff. It combines already existing in-game stuff in new ways. So when we want to create a hero, we don't, so to say, create a new hero. We take an old hero or pre-existing hero and we modify them. So the common base to start with is statue. Statue is traditional and very good for a number of reasons. Most important of it, which is that it's essentially featureless. It's easy to notice if you forgot to change something about statue because they have 25 hit points. If you forgot to change their hit points, it's very apparent in game. They don't have sides, so if you forgot that, and so on and so forth. So essentially what we're doing is then we're going to be casting our text mod spells on statue here. First we start with the hero needs to be named Maul. The spell for that is period N period and then the name. This N Maul. This names the statue. If we go in game and go statue, we can add a statue. Or we can take our statue named Maul, paste, and add statue named Maul. And hey, we've essentially already text modded. Maul is in game. Not a very exciting hero at the moment, so we'll keep going. Named Maul, done. I usually edit the heroes so that these are on separate lines. It's much easier to grok. One line per one thing modified, basically. I always also do them in very specific order. That's a me thing, but also makes it, I think, easier to sort of grok and process the information of the hero. But next up, we want to make them a tier 1 yellow, currently being a tier 2 green, of course. The code for tier is, hey, that's super simple. Tier 1. Now they're tier 1, and the color is col, and then the color of the hero, which can be a little weirder since there are custom colors, but when we're working with the base game colors, what we can do is yellow. Test often. TextMod really likes to explode on you, and it's harder to troubleshoot once you've done 400 lines of code. It's much easier to troubleshoot when you've done one line of code, you know what's failing. So we test often, even for the simplest things. But all of this has worked. It pastes perfectly in game. Maul, tier 1, yellow. Hooray. We'll scratch that off. And then 6 HP. Also super easy. HP 6. And because we test everything obsessively and continuously, let's ignore Pokemon's. Pokemon's. It's not important. It's not important to the video. Concentrate. Maul 6 HP. Hooray. We can scratch that off. And then the heavy damage sides. This gets a little harder. Still not super hard, but slightly more in depth. The code for adding sides is SD for side. And the format is 6 blocks of numbers. You can go 0 and then divide it like this. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now we won't see this do anything in game. It'll paste because it's correct. But 0 is the code for blank, which the statue already has. They always work in the same order. The first one is left, and we have middle, top, bottom, right, and rightmost. You can change the left first to see what this means. Now the side ID values are not descriptive in any way. They're just numbers, and you have to know them. Luckily, there are cheat sheets for this, which we'll look at soon. But you also very quickly learn, well, your favorite ones and then the very basic ones, like damage, which is 50. This means that now the left side is a damage side. Let's paste that. And hey, it's a damage side, only it does 0 damage because we didn't assign a value to it. You assign a value by going hyphen in English, I'm sure, and then the value that you want to have there. 15, 1. Oi oi savoy, 1 damage. It's already starting to look a little bit more like a hero, even though they're very statue-y looking at the moment. Now, you'll soon learn that 15 is basic damage, 56 is basic shield, 76 is basic mana. These sort of stick, because you'll be doing them over and over. But at least my memory is like a sieve, nothing holds, so I just use the cheat sheets. This is also available on the Discord. Oh, I forgot where. This isn't the latest version, it looks like. I think there's a newer version. I'll link everything somewhere, somehow. I'll have to look into it. But at the bottom we have the tinies, larges, and hugies. Hugies. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, under tinies, we have the IDs for the tiny monsters, and then hero-sized monsters and heroes. There's a little overlap, which you don't see here. I think there is indeed a better ID sheet for this. We'll have to check that. I'll link it. But this will serve for our purposes. We look again at our sheet, and we want heavy damage sides. So we go to our ID sheet, and somewhere on this sheet is the magic code that gives us a heavy damage side. So we search for heavy, and there it is, 39. True here incidentally means that the side has pips and you can assign it pips. We go back to our fella, 39, and we'll just put in 1. And there we have a 1 damage heavy side. Now we're cooking. It allows us to assign any sort of sides, and you can create a slightly more complicated hero. Let's say we want to have the middle row is all heavy damage sides, and because I'm a sucker for sort of evenness and what's the word? Unimportant to this video, but I'll just keep entering. Series, signs, anyway, completely unimportant. We'll go with a middle row of heavy damage sides in a descending order of 4, 3, 2, 1. Left side 39, 4, middle side 39, 3, and then since we're not using top and bot, we'll have to enter 0 here to leave them blank. Then again on the right side 39, 2, and rightmost 39, 1. And what we'll have is essentially a ready hero. Pretty strong for a tier 1 hero. 4 damage, 3 damage, 2 damage, 1. Also not terribly interesting, but I'll leave making the masterpieces to you. That's all of our hero work done there. We have our hero ready. For easier pasting into the game, I would always, and you should always remove any sort of line spacing. Still paste perfectly well, but then when you have longer, the game's pretty good about pasting line breaks, but especially with longer materials, it can get really iffy. So let's not do them. So now we have our statue mold here. We can have a whole army of them. We can add 1 to the game. They play out nicely, as all of the other heroes do. Hey, we immediately hit our 4 damage side, and this hero is terribly overpowered. But this is not why we're here, is it? We're not here to do a hero that has some heavy damage sides. It's not why I picked up text modding, it's not why you picked up text modding. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it slightly more interesting. Here we have some extra tasks for extra credit. We want to have the currently quite overpowered 4 damage heavy side on the left, instead be a 4 damage heavy exert side. And we also want a cool facade for that side, because why wouldn't we? So you can continue working on our statue. Now, how do we add? We already have the 39-4 here, which gives us a 4 damage heavy side. How do we make that a 4 damage heavy exert side then? Well, for that we have to understand items. Items are a little more complex in some ways than heroes in the game, because while heroes are always made based on an earlier hero or pre-existing hero that's modified, items are also based on pre-existing items that are then modified. Only there's a ton of bases to build items on. You could go anchor, which again doesn't directly paste in the game because the game doesn't understand item as a concept. It only takes modifiers here in custom. So it goes, do you want all item anchor? All heroes have the anchor item, or I anchor, i.e. the player receives the permanent anchor item. Works effortlessly. Here it is in the inventory, ready to be equipped to overpowered wallop here. Just kidding about wallops here, is gonna kill me. If on the other hand we want, let's actually do it here. It works with a lot of the same sort of text modding spells, like name. We go test, anchor, named, test. And we've successfully modified the item. The spells are a little different mostly with items. We won't be going into them in this video, but we need to know about items because items is how we assign new features, new sides, new features to sides to heroes. It is the basis of making custom heroes. For example, we go I anchor, and now the statue, in addition to all of its other nice features, will have the anchor item built into them. It doesn't show in any way on the hero, but if we go into game, they start with one shield because they're sort of intrinsically equipped with the anchor item. But we don't want the anchor item on them. We want them to have exert on their left side. So there is an item that provides keywords. It's K, keyword, exert. This is an item that does nothing but add exert to all the sides. It's named nothing because we didn't name it anything yet. If we go into the game with it, we have the item K exert that adds exert to all sides. What a terrible item. Let's put it on Squire. Whoop-de-doo. It's far too late for this. The K exert item then would add exert to all sides. We don't want that. So we define what side we want that on. Left, K exert. We have an item that adds exert to the left side. Again, could be pasted into game. But if we want to equip it on the hero, we can't go period and left K exert. This won't paste. It'll say no modifiers found. Another sort of key problem with slice and dice text modding, something you have to understand, is the custom mode doesn't really give you error messages. It will not tell you what went wrong. It just won't paste, which makes troubleshooting a lot of fun. Again, paste at every opportunity, test everything. So instead of doing this, we have to add I. So we're adding the item left K exert to the hero. Paste, and there we go. 4 damage heavy exert. We have the side we want. This would have sufficed in version 3.0 before facades. Now everything is big and cool. So instead of doing just that, we want to do another modification to the left side. So we go I, left, and then we want the facade for the left side. The facade is word for the art of a given dice side. In game it's called facade, so the spell is also facade. Then we have to know the internal name of said facade. These you can find in Slice and Dice by going to the ledger, here, text modding info, and community side art. There's some other places. I prefer to use this. It's very visual. Now we want a nice side that communicates heavy but also exertion. So, Icaros, I'm sure it's here because I checked this before I started the video. Here we go. Yuka 19. It's heavy damage lead. We'll ignore this. It's now our side. So the code is Yuka 19. Waika? Waika row? Not sure. So here we go. The code Yuka 19. And then we'll paste. And it doesn't work. This is because the code is a little more fiddly. Every time you put a facade, you have to also put in the hue of the facade, how much it is colored. In this case, we don't want to change anything, so we go 0. And now when we paste, the hero has a nice left side. And visually, it's better communicated that it's a heavy side with something a little extra. 4 damage heavy exert, 3 damage heavy, 2 damage heavy, 1 damage heavy. Hooray, a custom hero. 2 more finalizing steps that we can take. This doesn't really look like a yellow hero. It really looks more like a statue that somehow wandered in with their hammer. So what we can do is, let's look at a better art for them. Who of these goons looks like they would be named Mole? We're gonna go with Brute. So the spell for assigning a new image to a hero is image. It's easy to remember. You can use anything here basically. That's an in-game thing. Image anchor should give us, yep. The mole now looks like a small anchor. It's actually really cute. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use a hero graphic, i.e. the aforementioned Brute. And then we have a slightly more yellow looking hero. We won't be going in depth into image creation, image pasting, image editing here. It's argue a video in its own right. But this is the basis of them. Could also assign monster images there. It's actually quite multifaceted is not the word I'm looking for, but the one I'm going to have to use. And then one final thing. The problem with this, while it works perfectly well as a hero, pastes in game can be used, is that these are not the base sides of the hero now. These are edited sides. For example, if we take the memory item, which should be, revert all changes to the left side. If we then go in game and equip the memory to Maul, it returns to a 4 damage heavy side, because the game considers the changes done by equipping the I left K exert and I left facade Yuka 19-0 items as changes made. So it reverts them back to the SD. We don't want this because these are the base sides of our hero. So what we can do is sort of wrap our hero in another spell where we go, what are these called? Not parentheses. There are parentheses, brackets. Brackets is the goddamn name. Replica. And then also here. So now we've sort of enclosed all of our hero into a replica. We have made a replica of them. What replica does is turns everything within in this case within these brackets into the base hero. So if we go into the game, replica, let's slap a memory in there too. Inventory, memory, and hey, it stays 4 damage heavy exert because it is now the base side of the Maul hero. Here we go. We'll do this because I'm really obsessive about this stuff. There's the first hero. Well, I'm assuming you didn't watch this video in kind of paint by numbers where I'm no Bob Ross, because I don't do happy fucking accidents. But now you know the basics of making a hero in TextMod. The basics of having heroes. It gets far more complex than this, but that's all things to learn at another time. This basis already gets you really far. So I hope you learned something here. I hope you enjoyed me rambling and getting really off track and being really, really shy and weird, and I'll see you in the Discord. Bye!